Robin, welcome to the kitchen.
Hello.
You're here for a very special video.
Yeah, I'm gonna help you cook some food.
Yeah, and what's really exciting, the reason that I asked you to come here was because I was inspired by a video that you made.
Ah.
Yeah, because you made a video on your channel. What's the name of that again?
My channel is called Lunch in China.
Right. I've seen that your channel is really blowing up these days. People are getting really excited about that. People are learning a lot too. Can you tell us a little bit, what do you do on your channel?
I eat lunch, and that's why it's called Lunch in China. And but I usually eat Chinese foods and then talk about the history of the food, or explain how to say the different foods in Chinese. So I do it. It's kind of a dual language. It's mostly in English, but I'll discuss the names of foods and how to talk about food in Chinese as well.
Yeah,
it's not really meant to teach you Chinese, but it's to help understand Chinese.
Yeah, I like that. That's one thing I love about your channel is that it has that cultural aspect to it, and the linguistic aspect, and occasionally a little bit of history.
Yeah, I try to get like the sort of background information about the food, and like a lot of times that's why using the language is important, because a lot of times the Chinese name of a food will help you understand what it is and where it comes from, and so by looking at the name of it you can understand a little better what it is.
Okay, cool. So Robin, what we're gonna make today is something that I don't know if we talked about it on the chat. We're going to be making sausages and sauerkraut, like a sausage sauerkraut casserole. Now, did you grow up eating that?
Not really. We had sauerkraut and we had sausage, but I don't really remember ever having like a
did they ever bake it in a casserole type thing? Okay, well that's what
I grew up with.
That's what we're going to be doing. That's something that was really big in my family, not only on my mom's side of the family, but also on my dad's side of the family. Everyone loves it.
Oh, from all parts of the family.
Yeah. So what we got here is we've got some Harbin sausages. Now these are not the original Harbin sausages. These are Haolian. I prefer these to Chulin sausages because I find that Chulin sausages have like a little sweet aspect to them, or some kind. There's a spice, like an allspice or 5-spice that they put in there, which I don't like so much. But these Harbin sausages, we got 3, and they are 31.84 yuan. So we can say 32 kwai for 3 Harbin sausages. We've got Heida Swansai. You know, we are on the campus of Heilongjiang University, so it's always good to support our local sauerkraut maker. This sauerkraut's a little bit different because it's made with what maybe our American friends might call Napa cabbage, as opposed to the round cabbage that we might be more familiar with. This package, I think, is around 6 or 7 yuan, and we can go into that a little bit later. Here we also have some potatoes. We're probably going to be, this is going to be a side dish, but we're probably just going to use 3 of these, but 5 potatoes was 7.5 yuan, so 3 of them would be like 4.5 yuan, something like that. There are 2 green onions, which I've already prepared. This was 4.5 for 3, so 2 of them would be about 3 yuan. And then finally, this is going to be kind of like a little, what could I say, like a little garnish that's going to go with the potatoes. And this is, you know this stuff, Robin?
Oh, swantai.
Yes.
This is the tops of garlic shoots.
Yeah. So this is kind of this. Sometimes people might call them garlic chives. This can also be, if you're thicker and older, then you might call them garlic scapes. But let's just call them garlic chives for today. So that's what's going to be going into we're going to be making 2 dishes, and that's what's going to be going into them. Oh, and also this half of an onion. I really couldn't tell you the price of this because I usually buy like 5 or 6 at a time. Let's just say they're about 1 yuan each, so half of them would be 0.5. So altogether, we're talking about 11, 12, 3, 15 plus 6 is 21 plus 32 is 53 yuan for a large meal that could feed maybe 4 people.
Sounds like a good deal.
I think it is. I think it's a great deal.
Yeah.
So through the magic of YouTube land, all of our ingredients are nice and prepped on the table. So for our secondary side dish, you can see we just have some chunks of potatoes kind of cut up into, I guess, 1/2 inch or 2 centimeter cubes. I don't know how to measure things anymore. We have our garlic. Now I call them garlic chives. Robin?
So I was looking at the packaging, and in Chinese it's called suan miao, which just means young plants. And then perhaps that's garlic bolts or garlic shoots. But I think garlic chives works just as well. We're using it in the same function as you would chives.
Exactly. Yeah, those are gonna. So these are going to be fried just normally with some oil, salt, pepper, and then at the very end we're gonna toss those in just to kind of waken everything up. Over here we have our Heida swansai, so our Heida sauerkraut. One thing I love about this brand, other than the fact that it's named after where I live and my workplace, I love that it's juicy. So you can see there's some of that water. Now that's fresh sauerkraut juice right there. There are other brands that you can buy where they wash all that off, and then the kraut doesn't have any flavor. Have you ever run into that, Robin?
I have seen where they've got the dried off kind of sauerkraut before.
I find it then tastes like just dish rags.
That makes sense.
It keeps its texture, but like this is unwashed and it will be unwashed. So maybe for some of our local viewers, they might not like that so much, but this is how we like it. I think it's really tasty. Here we have our green onion and yellow onion chopped together. That's going to get fried and then mixed with the sauerkraut. The sauerkraut is not really going to get cooked in the pan, but it's going to get mixed together. And then finally, on the vegetable side, I've got a little secret ingredient right here. We've got some chopped up kimchi. This is kimchi I bought at my local store a few months ago, and it's just been sitting in my fridge fermenting for, as I said, like a month or two. And we're at the bottom of the jar now, so this is going to be like the most flavorsome kimchi. Now this is going to get mixed in with the other vegetable ingredients, and then which will provide a bed for our Harbin sausage. Now, Robin, could you tell us a little bit about this Harbin sausage?
Yeah, so this is called Harbin Heilongjiang, or Harbin red sausage because of the red coloring. It's actually a form similar to like a kielbasa. It was started in Harbin in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Harbin had a lot of Russian and Polish and Lithuanian immigrants, and
why was that?
Because they were building the railway. This was one of the major stops on the railway between Moscow and Vladivostok.
Yeah, it was a major stop on the Trans-Siberian Railroad because it cut through. It cut around the Amur River, or Heilongjiang River, forms the border between Russia and China, and Harbin is kind of cuts that dog leg off of the track.
Does this, and the railroad just cut straight through.
Yeah. The original Trans-Siberian Railroad. Now, if you take the Trans-Siberian Railroad from Vladivostok to Moscow, you're going to go around the river.
They built a northern branch.
Yeah.
That stays in Russia.
Yeah.
And so now that's that. But the original one cut straight through, and actually Harbin was a junction point. You could either continue on to Vladivostok, or you could go south to what was then called Port Arthur.
Right, which is now
Dalian.
Yes.
And then there was also a branch that went to Beijing to go to the capital of China. So that was kind of Harbin was a major branch point for the railway.
Now,
and so they brought their food with them. The people, they came from Poland, Lithuania. At the time, they were mostly part of the Russian Empire, but a lot of them were ethnically Polish or Lithuanian. And they, made their own food here. And they started a sausage company called Churin Foods, which to this day makes Harbin sausage. There are other brands, as actually Tom prefers this other. He bought the other brand.
Yeah, this is HRL Harolia, and I prefer this brand because I'm not a big fan of the spice mix that they use in Churin sausages. And for this preparation, I think this brand is better.
Yeah, the way they make the sausage dough is basically the same. It's just the spices they put in it is a little different. It has large chunks of fat, and then it's a cured sausage.
Yeah. Now these ones have the large chunks of fat, but then you can also get a more emulsified sausage, which I know you talked about on your channel, which would be called the
children's sausage.
Yeah.
And actually, this is another difference. The children's sausage has a different spice blend in it.
Ah.
So, even if you don't like the Churin Foods Harbin sausage, you may actually like the flavoring in the children's sausage.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they just emulsified it better. It's actually a different sausage.
Yeah.
It's prepared differently, and
I'll admit, I like the children's sausage.
Emulsified. If you're
it's
eating
good.
it as a plain just sausage that you just want to munch on, it's much better.
It's much better. Yeah. Now this one is great for cooking and stuff like that, but the chunks of fat, especially on a hot day, it's not that great.
In a bake like we're gonna be doing,
we want those chunks of fat.
That emulsifies down and
just melts down and renders out into the sauerkraut and everything, and it just makes it heavenly.
Make the dish much better, yes.
So this is about as easy as it gets. First thing we're going to do is turn up the heat. And we got a little wok here. Lately I've been using my wok a lot because it's just big and it's easy to cook large amounts of things in. Throw a little bit of oil in there. I'm going to just use olive oil because that's what I got. I also have some corn oil, but I just prefer olive oil. I know they say that you shouldn't cook on high heat with olive oil, but I don't really care about that so much. I don't really care if it smokes a little bit. That's okay. And this olive oil, maybe my taste buds are dead, but it doesn't really lend so much flavor to whatever you're making. So we've got the olive oil going. The pan is heating up. We've got our onions right here, and we are just going to dump those in. Why? Well, we want to soften these up a little bit, and we also want to get a little bit of caramelization for flavor. We're going to put a little bit of salt in there to help get rid of some of those liquids, because we're going to have to fit all of this plus that sauerkraut and the kimchi. We're going to have to fit all of this into that little casserole dish, which I know can happen because guess what? I've done this before. So put a little bit of salt in there, getting it moving around, make sure to wake up everything here. Now we're not getting the flavors, we're not letting the flavors get to know each other because there really aren't that many flavors in here so much, but you know what we could do? We could throw a little bit of white pepper in there. Robin, are you against white pepper?
I love white pepper.
Excellent. I like white and black pepper. Of course I grew up always eating black pepper, but in the last, I find for Chinese style stuff or stuff that is using Chinese ingredients, I find white pepper is more effective. What about you, Robin? How do you feel?
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, they're both the same. You know that?
Yeah, they're both pepper.
Yeah, it's just white pepper just got like its husk removed. So it's basically it's like the difference between regular white rice and brown rice. In this case, the black pepper is like brown rice that hasn't had its husk removed or minimally removed. Whereas the white pepper is like white rice, where the bran and the husk and the germ and all that stuff has been removed. So yeah, this is going to be going for maybe about 7 or 8 minutes, and we're going to use the magic of YouTube land to blast into the future so that you can see what we're aiming for. And we're back. Now, if you look in this pot, this wok, you will see that things have browned up a little bit. So now we are going to introduce the kimchi, and this is where we're going to let the flavors get to know each other just a little bit. Introducing the kimchi. Now, we're not trying to fry the kimchi. We're not trying to brown the kimchi. I could actually just turn off the heat, which is what I'm doing right now. And kimchi's going, and now we're going to get the swan side, or sauerkraut, toss that in as well. And this is just so that everything can get to know each other so that we can have a nice little bed to put the sausages on. I have turned on my oven. It's preheating. I have it at full blast to get it really hot, but I'm going to turn the oven down to probably like 175 Celsius. which might be like $3.75 American, standard, whatever you want to call it. And then that's gonna bake for a little while. But now you can see, really, the kimchi, all it really did was just lend a little bit of color, but it definitely lent some flavor here. So we're gonna, the heat is off. It looks like it's all mixed together. And now we're gonna get our casserole dish. And here's our casserole dish, ready to go. And it seems like it's too much, but it really isn't. Everything is going to cook down a little bit in the oven. And actually, it's not too much. Look at that. Actually, yeah, look at that. It's not too much at all. There's plenty of room for the sausages, which will all go on top of our cabbage and onion mix. So now we're patting everything down. It's still wet. We want that. We like it to be wet. And now we will place the sausages just on top. And you can see how I cut the sausages. I cut them so that we can maximize our Maillard reaction and also maximize the amount of fat that renders into the kraut. There we go. Now we seem to have, we can put that there. We have a little, maybe we're gonna be a little bit crammed, but that's okay. During the cooking process, like halfway through the cooking process, we are going to turn the sausages so that both sides can get nice and brown. And Robin, could you, actually never mind. And here we have our oven. It's like a glorified toaster oven. Opened up. Oh, that is hot in the oven. Put that in there. Dial it down to about 175, 180. And we're gonna let that bake for about 20 minutes. Then we'll flip it, turn the heat back on, or we'll flip the sausages, turn the heat back on, and let it go for another 10 minutes. So altogether, cooking time is only about 30 minutes.
Well, Tom's got me cooking the potatoes, so same setup as the onions at the beginning, just oil in a wok. Just gonna get the oil spread around. It's on a high heat. And we got some potatoes here that have been cut up. Just gonna throw those in there.
Now, Robin, how do you feel about pan frying potatoes for your?
Well, where I'm from, typically, if you pan fry them, you're doing more like hash browns. So it's much smaller, like shredded potato. You make it into kind of like almost a fritter, a pancake kind of thing. I always grew up, if we were having this kind of potatoes, we'd do it roasted potatoes, like, get the oil on them. You just, same preparation, chop them up in a bowl, but instead of putting the oil in the wok or the pot, just throw the oil on the potatoes, get them all mixed up, and then throw them in a pan in the oven.
Which I think is a fantastic way to go about potatoes. Sadly, our oven
is in use right now.
It's in use right now, and it's not big enough to cook two different things in at the same time.
Getting the potatoes coated up with oil real quick. Then let them sit for a minute.
Now with seasoning, do you prefer to just season at the end, or do you season as you go?
We could probably season now.
Okay.
Are you a season at the end kind of guy?
I'm a season as I go kind of guy.
Okay.
But I like to go light on the seasoning, personally. Yeah. That also helps to kind of draw some of the moisture out.
Yeah. That salt.
I mostly use the salt as a tool during the cooking process, to extricate water. And then after the cooking process is over, then use salt as a flavor.
That makes sense.
So how long would you say that needs to go?
Till they're cooked. That's usually how long I cook stuff.
Yeah, I would say maybe about 10 minutes.
That sounds right.
So let's use some of the magical wonders of YouTube land, and we'll come back in a few minutes to take a look at how these are coming along.
All right.
Now I know that these are Robin's potatoes, but there's one little trick that I'd like to kind of talk about when making these kinds of pan-fried chunky potatoes like this, is I like to kind of beat the potatoes a little bit as I cook them, because that can help kind of open them up and it adds more surface area that can get nice and crunchy. So right now I'm kind of beating the potatoes. As I move them around, I'm kind of hitting them a little bit just to let them kind of open up, and then they cook. I don't know if they cook faster, but they definitely get more surface area, so you get some more of that crunchification that people love so much with their potatoes. So we are halfway through the cooking process for the sausages, and if you look at the sausages, you will see that they have gotten some browning on one side. You can see the foam is kicking up over here. You know, if you ever cook bacon, you know that the bacon is ready when it starts foaming. But these are not ready yet. We're gonna flip them and get some nice browning on the other side. Flip that. And the fat is pooling up a little bit, which is good. You know, some people, if you're on a low-fat, low-salt, low-nitrate diet, then this is probably not the dish for you, because we are using processed meat, which some people might have a problem with. And there is no substitution. The biggest substitution you can make would be like a Polish kielbasa or something along those lines, or the New Orleans, Louisiana andouille sausage. That would go great in this prep. What do you think, Robin?
Oh yeah, that would be delicious.
An andouille sausage in here? That'd be super tasty.
But you need a flavorful, fatty sausage to make this cook well.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it with hot dogs, but that's just kind of that's when you want to just do it on the cheap. Now we got a little bit of smoking happening here, so we gotta watch that. Maybe turn down the heat. And then we will put this back in the oven. So our potatoes are just about done. You can see there's a tiny bit burned, but that's okay. So now they are finishing up. This is where we will bring in the garlic chives. Just toss some garlic chives in there. I think I prepared too much, but that's okay. You can always use them for other things, like add them to a soup. That's a great little thing you can do. Then just mix it up a little bit. Let them kind of soften, but not turn brown. And too bad they don't have a smell app on YouTube, because the smell is fantastic. What do you say, Robin? Can you smell that for me?
Oh yeah, it's smelling delicious.
Yeah, nice, like fresh kind of garliciness. And there you got your garlic. We decided to call these pan-roasted. Garlic pan-roasted potatoes, ready to go. And speaking of something else that's ready to go, I believe our sausage and kraut bake is ready to go as well. So why don't we plate that all up, and we'll show you what it looks like when we get to the eating space. So our lunch is ready. You can take a look at this sausage. Now it really has that red color. If we're talking about Harbin Heilongjiang, that is about as red as it gets. What do you think, Robin?
Yeah, it's gone from, before it was a little pinkish red, and now it's red.
Yeah. So, why don't you serve yourself up?
Okay. Can grab a couple sausages.
All right, get in there, get that kraut. Make sure to get a good amount of kraut. And there's juice as well, so don't be afraid to allow the juice to get in there. Get in there, help yourself as much as you want.
I think I'll go with 3 pieces of sausage.
You can see that the sausages are browned on all sides. That's why we took it out to flip them around a little bit.
Well cooked all around.
Yeah. And I will serve myself up. This is one of those. This is, for me, I was actually eating this for breakfast during wintertime. It was just an easy, fast breakfast. Although this is the first time that I've made it with kimchi inside. In the past, I never did that. I just thought, like, why not try something kind of new and exciting, you know? Do something different. And I know that you were talking about in one of your videos how we were kind of on the edge of the Korean cultural sphere.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, if you go even just another 100 kilometers north from here,
you're out.
You're out of it.
You're out of it.
More
You're
like,
out.
You're starting to get into the Siberian and kind of not Siberian, but
Far East Russia.
Yeah, Far East Russia, and it's more of a
There's
Russian
also
and
steppe culture.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Steppe culture.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, you didn't get your.
Yeah, I don't got potatoes yet.
What would you say would be a great drink accompaniment for this?
Well,
there's really only one answer.
What I'm drinking is this is called dragon water.
Okay,
it's a little sparkling.
It's just a little
water. But I think the answer you were looking for was hapi.
Yes, a Harbin beer, gold can.
Harbin beer, yes.
Yeah, gold can or 1900 actually, because it's a little bit fancy.
Well, and that's
fancy.
The city of Harbin was founded around 1900, and that's why Harbin beer is 1900, and Chulin sausage I think was founded in 1904. So, or
well,
1909?
That's the thing. It's a little bit... earlier you said that it was founded in the late 19th century, and the company, the Churin company, was originally founded in Khabarovsk. And so the one that's here in Harbin is like another branch of that company.
Although I believe the headquarters was moved to Harbin eventually.
Right.
But when Churin sausage, or Churin food, was first founded, Harbin didn't exist.
Yeah.
It was founded in I think around 1867 or something.
Yeah.
And Harbin only started late 1890s.
Yeah, I mean, of course there was human settlement here. They remember they found that hominid skull that was over 100,000 years old. They found it a while ago, but around here it was really just a village.
Yeah, there were two. There was a little Korean village, kind of near where current day Achang is, and then there was I don't think Han Chinese, but a Chinese, I'm not sure which ethnicity, a Chinese fishing village.
But of course also in the 12 and 1300s, Achang was a local capital.
It was the national capital, actually, of the Jin
dynasty, which was a northeast
northern China.
Yeah. So let's jump in. I'm going to try a potato first to see how this goes.
Okay.
Huh. Not undercooked at all. We were worried about that.
No, it's perfectly cooked.
There's a tiny little bite in the middle, but I think the garlic, those garlic chives, kind of really wake it up a lot more than just like a regular chives that you might get.
I want a potato to have a bit of chew. Like if you're having a roast potato, I don't want it to be mushy in the middle and just fall apart. Like I want there to be a bite to it. So this still has a bite to it. That's something I like about Chinese cooking is they tend to cook their potatoes what I've called al dente, which is not really the correct term, I guess.
No.
But in Italian pasta, you call it al dente. But
want to go in for some
sure.
kraut?
I'm gonna go with a little bit of sausage on mine.
Did you get a little bite of kraut? It's got a nice sour kick, huh?
I'm suffering from the hot mouth syndrome.
Oh yeah. But that kraut, I think that kraut is really good.
It's quite delicious.
Yeah. No, I didn't make the kraut myself.
Especially once it's got those sausage fat.
Yes. Yes. That's what it's all about right there. Yeah, I love the kraut. I'm a huge kraut guy. Also, the kraut has the onions cooked into it and all that type of stuff. How was your bite of chong?
It was quite good.
A little bit crispy on the outside?
Yeah,
juicy in the
crisp
center?
on the outside. I mean, the sausages are technically pre-cooked, or they're I think they're smoked or
Yeah.
cured. But, so you could eat them raw, but they taste much better once you cook them up.
Yeah. And the casing, if you like a snappy casing, this casing is like super snappy.
Yeah.
And you can see here how it comes out, you know, when it's after it's cooked. It's just so juicy. You really can't beat it. I can't remember the first time I had a Harbin sausage, but I know I was impressed.
I think I remember two first times, because there was the first time I just had a Harbin sausage, which I had it with the same company that well, not the company that we bought these from, but the Churn food, the one that originated Harbin sausage. They make a type of bread called Heilongjiang, which I think means Serbian.
Yeah. You in your video. I'll put a link to that video in the description below. Make sure to take a look at that.
And that was when I first got here. That was one of my favorite, just kind of quick lunches. You just buy a sausage, buy a loaf of bread, and sit on the curb and munch on them. And so that was the first time I had raw Harbin sausage. It was just, you know, I didn't cook it at all. But then I remember in a restaurant, the first time I saw where they had chopped up Harbin sausage and cooked it in with something.
Like some kind of garlic scapes or greens or something like that.
It was, I think it was with garlic, as you call them, scapes. Yeah.
Now, as we said before, not all Harbin sausages are created equally. I have a preference for these ones because I feel like they're more garlicky and a little bit more. I don't know. For me, they're more flavorsome. But there's another brand which I'm not such a big fan of. I don't know. Have you ever tried Isho?
Oh, I don't particularly like theirs.
Yeah, like I find them pretty bland.
So Isho is a shop that specializes in pre-prepared foods. Sort of like a Chinese version of a deli.
Yeah, like duck necks, duck tongues, duck heads.
It's not the foods aren't the same as a deli food that you would get in like an American deli or a European deli, but the idea of pre-prepared meats and foods and stuff that you can go in and just buy and then eat right away.
Yeah. Take home, make a little platter.
Yeah. And they do a Harbin sausage, but yeah, I would agree with you. I don't think theirs is quite as good. It's I would
seems like it's not smoked long enough.
I would consider that on the cheap end.
Yeah.
I don't know that the price is any different, but
I think it is a little bit cheaper, but I'm not sure. I just remember we used to have an Isho near our old apartment, and I went down there to buy some sausages to fry up for breakfast, and I thought to myself, gee, this is not the HRL sausage that I like, you know.
I do disagree with Tom though on the I prefer the original Churn sausage.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, everyone's allowed to have their own opinion.
But I agree with you about the Isho.
One thing about the Harbin sausages is the giftability of Harbin sausages.
Yes.
At the Harbin airport, for example.
You caught me with my mouth full.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yes, buying a package of Harbin sausages is a very popular gift. It's one of the most iconic sort of items you can get from this region of China. So anybody from China that comes here will buy some here and then take them back home and give them away as gifts.
They come in nice boxes and stuff.
And because it's a cured meat, once it's dry wrapped or vacuum packed or whatever, it lasts plenty long. It's not going to go. You're not going to give it to someone and then they'll be like, "Oh, the sausages have gone bad" or whatever. They last for quite a long time.
But I would say it's best to store them in the freezer.
Oh yes. As with any cured meat, ideally you're getting it fresh, but it will last quite a while on its own.
Yeah, like my old employer used to give us around New Year's. They would give us a huge box of Harbin sausages, and then I would just put them in the freezer, and they would pretty much last me for the whole year. So I wouldn't have to go buy Harbin sausages because I always had a few in the freezer. So I think that's. Do you have anything that you want to add there, Robin?
I think we've basically touched it all here.
Yeah, super easy dish to make. If you are in Harbin, you can make this super easy thing. All you need is like a casserole dish in an oven. You could even do it without a casserole dish. You could just like fry everything up. Fry the sausages up and then heat the sauerkraut up separately and then mix it all together.
If you pan-fried the sausages, it would render the fat out the same. Just put them on the top and then pour the fat from the pan on top of it and mix that in with the cabbage.
Oh.
Or you could potentially cook the sausages first and then cook those onions down in the sausage grease.
We completely forgot about that. That like the most common winter dish that you see them cooking outside with those gigantic like cauldrons filled with the sauerkraut and pork fat and intestines and sausages and blood sausage and all that stuff that's just cooking right outside.
Pot stew, yeah.
Which is extremely similar to a cassoulet. There's a bunch of French and German and European sauerkraut stew dishes with a whole bunch of cuts of meat, and I mean there's Russian solyanka as well. All of these things are all related to each other, and it just goes to show that wherever people are growing cabbage, they're making sauerkraut. And wherever people are raising pigs or other animals for meat, they're making sausages. So sausage and sauerkraut, I think, are just a historical thing that are as old as civilization itself.
Sounds about right.
Great. Well, I think that wraps us up for today. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day, a great evening, and an even better tomorrow. And we will catch you next time on HLJU Living.